In 1927, a radio operator transmitted a signal into the sky. Seconds later, it came back. Not an echo. Something else. The phenomenon kept returning for almost 50 years, sometimes 40 seconds late, at frequencies the ionosphere cannot explain. In 1960, a Stanford physicist said it might be an interstellar probe. Then, every institution stopped listening. This is the roster. A Sentinel Network exclusive investigation. We started by watching an object, 3I Atlas. We cataloged dozens of anomalies across chemistry, trajectory, and behavior. Then we noticed something bigger. Every time the data pushed against consensus, an institution pushed back. Never with new data, always with procedure. We named the architecture the suppression gradient. Now we are running it backward through history. The framework has 12 layers: intelligence classification, force deployment, observatory blackout, database manipulation, journal gatekeeping, data processing, trajectory curation, methodological exclusion, publication blackout, platform operation, counterintelligence narrative management, disclosure ecosystem silence. Each layer has a case study. Each study has a primary source. Each source has a date. The scoring is binary. An object gets credit for a layer only if a documented institutional response mirrors it. No partial credit, no vibes. Either a primary source exists, or it does not. We applied the instrument to every serious candidate in the anomalous object literature. 3I Atlas scores 12 out of 12. The reference object. Every layer was derived from this case. Classification at the intelligence level. Force deployment at the military level. Instrument blackouts. Silent database edits, gatekeeping, curation, methodological blindness, publication silence, bot floods, narrative management, ecosystem silence, all 12 active simultaneously. IM-1 scores 6 out of 12. The interstellar meteor that hit Earth in January 2014. It punched deeper than every other meteor in the catalog. U.S. Space Command confirmed its interstellar origin 8 years later. The Galileo project recovered metallic spherules. A rebuttal called them coal ash. Nobody replicated the test. IM-2 scores 5 out of 12. Same classified sensor pipeline. Same retroactive data reclassification. 2 more candidates, discovered in 2022 and 2025. Score 4 out of 12 preliminary. Identified by Loeb and Cloete in February 2026. Within 24 hours of publication, a velocity sign was silently flipped. 1I. The object the world called Oumuamua scores 5 out of 12. It was the first confirmed interstellar object. The gatekeepers practiced here before scaling up to 3I Atlas. The dark comet category was invented to contain its anomaly. Radio telescopes were built to miss any probe signal. The disclosure ecosystem looked away. Long-delayed radio echoes score 6 out of 12, tied for the highest historical score in the catalog. Between 1927 and 1975, radio operators around the world heard their own signals come back. Seconds later. Sometimes 40 seconds late. At frequencies where ionospheric reflection cannot explain it. A 9-second delay at 28 megahertz means the signal traveled 2.7 million kilometers, 7 times the distance to the moon. In 1960, Stanford physicist Ronald Bracewell proposed it might be an autonomous interstellar probe. In 1973, Scottish astronomer Duncan Loonan expanded the analysis. Then the field went silent. Academic monitoring ceased by the end of the 1970s. Peer-reviewed publications collapsed to near zero. The natural explanations never survived contact with the data. Duncan Loonan's work was folded into Black Knight satellite mythology. Once a finding becomes associated with conspiracy, the social cost of citing it closes the file. Refutation requires evidence. Abandonment requires only silence. 1991 VG. Scores 4 out of 12. A small object on a trajectory that matched Earth's almost exactly. The observatory stopped looking for 26 years. Duncan Steele proposed it fit the Bracewell probe profile. He was professionally sanctioned. A later orbital study assumed natural origin in its initial conditions. It could not conclude otherwise. Tier 3 is the normalized roster. Kamo o Alewa, the Dark Comet class. 2006 RH-120. These score 2 to 3 out of 12. The anomalies were absorbed into accepted natural categories before alternatives could be proposed. Sample return missions in 2027 and 2031 will test these normalizations. The framework has to be able to fail. Comet Bowel scored 0. A Jupiter slingshot. Natural, confirmed. The Black Knight mythology scored 0. Narrative contamination prevents clean forensic analysis. Planet 9 scored 0. Active hypothesis. Functioning debate. The exclusions are the discipline that validates the inclusions. The pattern in the scores is the finding. 3 objects cluster at 6 out of 12. 3I Atlas is the calibration baseline. IM1 is the interstellar meteor. And the third is a radio phenomenon from 1927. That is the headline. The highest scoring cold case in the catalog is not a comet. It is a signal. Here is the Sentinel network's assessment. The framework identifies 3 categories of historical object. The ones the system actively contains, the ones the system successfully normalized, and the ones it forgot. The long-delayed echoes are the finding that surprised us. Same architecture, older, cruder, structurally identical. The signal was real. The explanation never worked. And nobody went back. The full briefing is on Substack. Link in the description. Keep looking up.